Alrighty, we are back after an exciting day yesterday playing in the online PTQ with the 4-color Uro deck. Bit of a disappointing turn of events with 3 and 5 over the day, but man, I had some good times playing Magic, hanging out with my buddies. Let me tell you something, if you got a Discord channel where you have people you like to hang out with, playing in an online PTQ and checking in with each other in between rounds, chatting, get a voice chat going, that is the closest thing to paper Magic, and it was a very cool feeling of normalcy, I suppose. Even though we are in a different state of affairs right now, it was great and felt nice and social, felt exactly like a good Magic tournament environment with a more convenient sort of almost private bathroom that I had. And I could go to the tap and grab some water, and I could brew up a cup of coffee anytime I wanted. Even one of my friends took a 20-minute break in between rounds to take a shower. You can't get that kind of convenience at a Magic tournament, so even though we can't get the human interaction, there's some upside to be had. But for tonight, we are starting off with Planeswalker Prison Pals in Modern. This deck list comes to us again from the wonderful brewer and competitive player Aspiringspike. So what we've got here is a pile of Planeswalkers to play in the Modern format, and the idea of just playing a bunch of Planeswalkers together in a Super Friends deck is not new. What is new is the exact angle at which these Planeswalkers attack opponents. So the Planeswalkers of War that appear in this deck are Ashiok, Dreamrender, Teferi, Time Raveler, Dovin, Hand of Control, Narset, Parter of Veils, and Karn the Great Creator. Those are all from a single set, and every single one of these has a passive ability that in some way applies a prison effect to your opponent. So Karn says their activated abilities of artifacts cannot be activated, so that's the null rod text, but only for your opponents. Teferi says they cannot play anything at instant speed, only sorcery. Ashiok says they can't search their library. Dovin says that their sorceries, artifacts, and instants cost 1 more to cast. And Narset says they can't draw them more than 1 card per turn. So all of these put a strong prison lock on your opponent. Wrenn and Six gives you a land engine. Jace the Mind Sculptor can fate seal them or give you endless brainstorms. And our 1 copy of Vraska has a abrupt decay repeatable effect, as well as being able to sacrifice some of our completely gratuitous number of lands in order to give us some card flow. Then on top of that, we have the Karn Wishboard. So our sideboard is almost 15 silver bullets. There are actually extra copies of Ensnaring Bridge here, so we can board them in the matchups where they're necessary, where we need to get one down a little more quickly. But for the rest of that, we have a bunch of silver bullets that are really good at locking down certain strategies, like Tormod's Crypt, Grafdigger's Cage for graveyard decks. We have Pithing Needle to target activated abilities, Damping Sphere against big mana and storm. We've got Heart of Kiran. Sometimes we'll need to defend our Karn. Liquid Metal Coating, we can attack our opponent's lands. Torpor Orb, we can shut down things like Primeval Titan or the Humans deck. And the other things that are most worthy of note in the sideboard is we have 2 artifacts that function as a lock on our opponent with 2 different Planeswalkers. So we've got Teferi's Puzzle Box, which says at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player puts the cards from their hand on the bottom and then draws that many cards. So Narset is going to make them take their entire hand, put it on the bottom, and then draw a single card. Pretty good. You lock them down to 1 card per turn. And then Knowledge Pool says when Knowledge Pool enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of their library. When a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it. And if they do, they get to cast a card that was exiled with Knowledge Pool. But with Teferi in play, they're not actually allowed to cast that spell, so they are entirely unable to cast spells for the rest of the game. Let me read Teferi's Puzzle Box really quickly. So draw stat, that player puts the cards. Okay, I think this actually triggers after your draw, so this might put you on 0 cards. Not entirely sure how the Teferi's Puzzle Box in our set works. We are going to be lucky to see it. And then, a little bit more of the business side of things. We have 18-ish mana sources. So actually, we have 21 lands, 14 things that produce extra mana. Simian Spirit Guide, of course, doing it for a cost of 0. Utopia Sprawl and Arbor Elf being one of the most unfair mana things you can do in Modern, and then Birds of Paradise to tie the room together. Then we've also got Oath of Nissa, which is a 1-green legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, reveal a creature, land, or planeswalker from among them, put in your hand. And you may spend mana of any color to play your Planeswalker spells, which makes some of this shenanigans easier to do. And one of the nice things about Oath of Nissa is just like Arcum's Astrolabe, you can bounce it with Teferi Time Raveler and then replay it again to get some extra value. So that is everything in the deck covered in short form. So we are going to hop into a league and see how she goes. My boy Roy is hanging out in our chat as usual, and I hope you had a good day, Roy. Hope you are feeling safe on your whatever level of lockdown quarantine you're in. Looks like a pretty good opener here. We've got Arbor Elf on one, or actually we can, so let's check out our mana base real quick. So if I can get a green source that doubles as a blue or black source, as this Overgrown Tomb does, I can play a turn 2 Ashiok here. I think we're pretty much going to play a turn 1, well actually we can do that with the Overgrown Tomb as well, so we're definitely going to do that. And then we'll have a turn 3 Karn. So we're going to keep this hand. So if we fetch Shock, Overgrown Tomb, play our Arbor Elf, that means we'll have 3 mana on turn 2, 2 of which at least can be black from the Overgrown Tomb, so we can play the Ashiok on turn 2. I'm restricted to my neighborhood at most. Is that because the transit is closed, or are you restricting yourself to your neighborhood? Temple Garden. All right. Temple Garden into birds. All right. We got a backup Ashiok, a Bashiok. Self-imposed. Well, that's some good self-isolating there, bud. Okay, no turn 2 play, but we've got some Bant colors showing their ugly face. We're just going to start jamming Planeswalkers into their open mana here. I think it's the highest potential upside. So we'll see what kind of deck they are on here, and if they have counter spells, shouldn't be an infinite amount of resources. Okay, so against the Bant colors, this deck, I believe, does not have any incentive to mill itself, so I'm going to mill my opponent here. 4 cards enter exile. We get more information here, too. Icefang Quaddle, Path to Exile, and 2 birds. Wow, that was a very strange hit. So, yeah, our deck does not have any particular reason to mill itself other than Wrenn and Six, and we've got a Misty Rainforest in our graveyard already, so we're good on that one. It's potentially Devoted Druid with Ice Fangs in the deck. Knight of Bottom. Okay. This is probably a 4-3. Does Soul Herder play Bop? I don't think so. Especially not this many copies. I'm pretty sure they would play Noble Hierarch. ... Phrasing. I just kind of trailed off there. Okay, so I think we're playing Vraska and killing the knight. If I'm going to fetch any color here, it would be Stomping Grounds, because I don't have access to red yet, and I don't... Oh, I might need double blue. Yeah, so basically right now I'm choosing between having double blue on the next turn. Although if I draw one more mana source, then I can play Oath of Nissa into a 4-mana Planeswalker, so I don't have to be overly picky on this. I wonder if it's just worth grabbing the forest and not dealing the extra damage to myself against what could be an aggressive deck, but they are stumbling on land, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So tap there, untap, tap, tap, tap. Vraska, in the words of Saffron Olive. Vraska, in my words. 1 syllable. And we'll mill them again, because we started down that road. Although, since they've shown me red, I probably should stop doing that, because they could have Lightning Bolt or such in their deck. I think we're playing against Kiki Cord. In fact, but like 4-color Kiki Cord? Yeah, that makes sense. And there are Ephemerate in their deck, but I think it's Kiki Cord. Are there any 4 or 5 color decks? Yeah. You and I got to this conclusion at the same time. I think they're on Kiki Cord, which means this Ashiok is probably doing some serious work. All right, Misty's great here because it means we get to play Oath of Nissa into Karn. And then I have enough lands to sack an untapped land for... sure. Okay, I'll take Interplanar Beacon. Interplanar Beacon I haven't talked about yet, but it is a land that taps for a colorless, or you can tap it for 2 mana of different colors, spend that mana only to play Planeswalker spells. So that allows you to cast Ashiok with only a Interplanar Beacon in play. You do need a second blue source if you want to play Narset or Jace. I think we're happy to get a forest here. I think we're jamming Karn, and then I'm going to sack probably a land. Okay, so if I'm going to wish for anything, which I'm sure I am, but if I'm going to wish for anything, I think God-Pharaoh's statue probably locks them out the hardest, and my opponent conceded. Yeah, they stumbled around a lot, and I think they were probably just staying in there to see what our deck was about. So the question we have to ask ourselves in the sideboarding is, do we want to board in the Ensnaring Bridges? Now, the number one thing we would want to board in the Ensnaring Bridges for is the 2 copies of Ashiok. So there's going to be a bunch of matchups we run into where bringing 2 Ensnaring Bridges out of our sideboard for the 2 Ashioks is going to be really great. I do not think this is one of those matchups. I think our main deck setup is really good here, so I think we're good to keep this. I don't think we need the bridges for anything. Wrenn and Six is excellent as well. I find these rainbow lands that impose heavy deck building restrictions quite refreshing, especially considered fetch shop mana bases. Yeah, exactly. The bridge also gets hit by Night of Autumn. The thing is, if we're using Karn to wish for it and then we get slammed by it anyway, then obviously we're in trouble. But the bigger consideration is Ashiok in the main deck is slamming against Kiki Cord. We leave everything else as because of the wishboard. Yes, absolutely. We definitely do. Many of the payoffs are situational, and we won't always want the same payoffs. So, for example, Wormcoil Engine might be something we bring in at some point in this matchup, but it's not likely, but we could. God-Pharaoh statue, again, very, very good sometimes, but not always. Heart of Kiran, very, very good sometimes, but not always. Chalice can be good. So basically, the sideboarding plan just involves the bridges occasionally coming in. Okay, so this is our mull to 6. It doesn't have any fast mana, but it does have a nice curve of Wrenn and Six into Dovin into Karn. I think we're just going to bottom the extra Karn here. We could bottom one of the lands, but I'm happier to play Temple Garden on 1 and then Fetch Shock for Stomping Grounds to the Wrenn and Six on 2, and hopefully start disrupting their mana. If they have any kind of medium draw here, since they kept their 7, then we should be able to overtake them with the pings from Wrenn and Six and having the 3rd mana. Shoot, I forgot to post. I knew I forgot something. Bop. Got some bop rockin' beats. Is it worth going fetch? Well, okay, Arbor Elf drawn now means we're playing that on turn 1. And I still need to go green into green-red here. Unless I want to play Dovin on turn 2. I think it's worth having the extra mana, because we could go turn 2 Wrenn and Six, turn 3 Karn. I think so. Roy, if you could do me a favor and pop into the streams section of the Faithless Brewing Discord and plug my stream, that would be awesome. They missed their land drop, but they had a bolt for my bird. Sick. Alright, this is kind of cool. Utopia Sprawl is one of the sickest ramp spells in Modern, because you get to do sequences like we're about to do here. So I'm going to get this Basic Forest. Basic Forest is less vulnerable in the Modern format than non-basic forests are. We're going to put that on red. We're going to play Wrenn and Six off of that land. So basically, we were able to sequence a ramp spell without losing mana, which is just sick. So Utopia Sprawl is one of the best ramp spells in Modern. It's just phenomenal. It's great in Niv Mizzet. It's great here. Oh, right. I was supposed to kill their bird. Oh, my God. Oh, I was talking about stuff and I totally punted the game. Although they didn't play a 3-mana spell, so kind of survives. Thank you, Roy. We are 1 in a million, buddy. So we're going to get fairly punished here, but then actually we're not. So I'm going to ping the birds. They're going to use it to eat my Arbor Elf and grow their Scavenging Ooze, and then I'm going to play this Teferi and totally crush them. Oh, or they could use it to ephemerate their birds, which is also good. Still get to... Oh, but Teferi's going to shut down the rebound on the ephemerate, so that's still pretty good. I'll take it, you know. In terms of the completely disgusting things that this deck can do to people, I'll take it. In Modern. Thanks, Roy. You are the truest friend of the stream. Number one moderator, number one buddy. Circuitous Roy. Circuitous Rue. Is that Saffron Olive doing Circuitous Route or Route? I don't care on pronunciation. Apparently one of them is British / Canadian, one of them is American. I think Root is Canadian and Route is American. Eldritch Evolution on 3, sure. That gets the Night of Autumn, which kills my Sprawl. Ah, Witness for the Bolt. For the Foothills. Ah, that makes sense, because they're missing land drops. I wonder if they have another Bolt, though. I hope not. Oh, that's not too bad. I'm just going to kill my Time Raveler, probably. They don't have it. Nice. Nice. So Wrenn and Six is just doing unreal amounts of work here. And because I have the Time Raveler in play, they can't play any spells to respond to that. So it's feeling pretty done here. Okay, so I'm going to play Beacon here. And Karn, I can get something that costs 1. Grafdigger's Cage does stop Eldritch Evolution and think brain, Eldritch Evolution, and the other thing, Cord. So I think that's what I'm getting here. So we'll put the other Sprawl on Forest. I think it's still the safest land to go on. They might have some kind of permanent destruction spell. I'm not sure. We'll tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Get Big K Daddy in here. And looks like they're done. Root as in route instead of root as in root means something else entirely. Yeah, no, so that's the thing. So the ROUTE, I believe it is the American saying of that is route, which is the same as ROUT. Whereas we say root, ROUTE, pronounced the same as root, ROOT. So for the Americans, the route, as in the path that you're taking, is pronounced as the same as the route, which is, you know, military failing. All right. Won the die roll. We're rocking and reeling forward here. Okay, we got ramp spell, but 3 4-mana planeswalkers. So the first one we're going to play is on turn 3. In the words of Roy the Boy, I'm going to say we can do better, so let's mull that. This is disgusting, so we're going to keep it. We're going to bottom... I think we're bottoming Spirit Guide. Just don't need it with this hand. We got double ramp spell here, and Utopia Sprawl is basically the safest ramp spell in the game. So we get to go Forest on... Forest on blue or... Sprawl on blue or white. I think we have to put it on non-basic if we want to be able to cast Ashiok and Teferi off of the mana we have right now. Yeah. So this first one has to be blue or white, as well as green. And then the second one has to be blue or black, as well as green. Red, red, and red. Yes. English, very simple language, easy to understand. I don't know how foreigners ever have a problem with it. What the hell's wrong with those people? Interesting to note, in many other languages, they'll have things like all the vowels will only have one pronunciation each, which is like just mind-blowing as an English speaker. What do you mean your vowels have only one way to pronounce them? That isn't mind-blowing, mind-melting enough. So here we can go blue, blue, and that means we'll be able to play Ashiok off the blue, blue, and white. We'll be able to play Teferi off the blue, blue, white here. So it should be all right. Don't Thoughtseize me? Well, I guess I got my wish. So likely to take Teferi here. So we're going to need to top deck more payoffs as we go along. Welcome to the chat, Mayor Bear 0264. Is there any particular meaning behind your 0264? I'm curious. We also got up over 1,000 views today. That's exciting. Yeah, no kidding. You took the Teferi. Oh, yeah, I guess that's a pretty good pickup. I'm going to take it. All right, the question is, do we go with Ashiok here against Black-Red Inquisition? Because we could immediately start screwing their mana. Born in February 1964. Yeah, all right. I'm just worried about the second. So Narset is a natural form of card advantage, which finds us more threats, which could be worth having here. So we've got blue, blue already. That covers most of our bases. We might need black later, but right now I kind of want to be ready to draw Wrenn and Six. Blue, blue covers almost everything else in the deck. But I would be happy to draw Wrenn and Six and be able to cast it. And we're going to mill them. Just to see more cards. Oh! Oh, it's blue-black control. Or Grixis control, I suppose, with Blacklead Cliffs. It's Grixis control. So we got to watch out for, what is it called? The thing. It's one of your favorite cards, Roy. Shadow of Doubt. So if we fetch into open black/blue, black/blue. Drown in the loch. Aye. Aye, you've drowned it. That was also a misplay. I don't think I should put Ashiok down to 3 loyalty against a Lightning Bolt deck. We haven't seen any Lightning Bolts yet. Aspiringspike did point out that they're not particularly good in the meta right now. There it is, immediately punished, and they have a fetch land in play. So, worth noting that we did in fact make a mistake there. Yeah, Shadow of Doubt is a real thing, man. And misplaying into them having Lightning Bolt's a real thing too. With Narset, it is a bit different. I'm definitely ticking down Narset because preventing them from drawing extra cards right now is not as important as trying to draw a threat. I guess the argument could be made that I should keep her on 5 because if they have an EOT Bolt, then they get to kill her and then they can draw extra cards on their turn. Whereas if I leave her on 5, they bolt her. Then on my turn, I can tick her down to 0. Tick her down to 0 and draw on my turn so they can't cause me to discard there. Do I know who Marebear 0264 is? I do. I do know who that human is, and so do you. I mean, you don't know who they are, but you know them. Red source. So it means the last Lightning Bolt? No, not last Lightning Bolt. There were Lightning Bolts in the last match. Not this one. So against Grixis control, the best Karn target is probably God-Pharaoh's statue. Petty Theft. Sure. Petty Theft, my Utopia Sprawl. That's a play. Now I get to play it on my forest where it's safer? Excellent. Thanks, opponent. You're the real MVP. They weren't thrilled with my comment, and they texted me. Well, to be fair, you didn't know who they were. You just made up a nice statistic. Like, you came up with something very clever. Born in February 1964. That makes sense. Maybe they were the 264th out of 9,999 Marebears produced. You don't know. There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing. They did have the extra Lightning Bolt. Okay, so they've got 3 mana open, which means that they can play this Brazen Borrower. So I'm going to shock this land. I'm going to play a Karn. We're going to Wish with Karn, and then we can block them attacking. They probably have a removal spell for my birds, but chances of them having yet another Lightning Bolt are not very high. The question is, if we're going to be under pressure from this Brazen Borrower, what is the best card to get here? And if my Karn dies, what is the best card to get here? I'm tempted to get Chalice of the Void. Their deck does play a lot of 1-mana interaction, so takes away a lot of their power. If we can get up to 6 mana, obviously God-Pharaoh's statue is nuts. Assuming that I get a second Wish next turn, that's what I think I would be getting. Chalice doesn't hurt me too badly because I have 4 mana already and all my payoffs are at the higher mana cost. Can they? All they have is K-Com. They can't beat Wormcoil. I suppose they can't get Wormcoil. That's if I can cast it, though. Yeah, exactly. I think the first thing I'm getting is Chalice, and the next turn we play Sprawl Chalice. It does create some dead draws in my deck. If I make it through the next turn, I can actually play Sprawl into Bridge. Because assuming that we get to block their Brazen Borrower here with the birds, then that means next turn I can play a bridge out. That'll stop the Brazen Borrower for the next turn, and then I can Chalice the turn after that. And then Karn can start ticking up for another wish. Land is nice to see out of them. We currently don't have enough. Damn. Well, we currently don't have enough cards in our graveyard for their Into the Story to be cheaper, but then we do because not only did they kill my birds, but they killed my Karn. It's all good. Well, I mean, if I was going to draw these sprawls at any point, I guess now is the time. Do I need more blue mana? Yes, I need one more. And then I'm going to throw them all on the forest. I suppose the question is, do I want to put the Chalice on 1 or 2? 2 hits basically nothing in my deck except for Wrenn and Six. It does hit plenty of things in their deck. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what color do I want here. It doesn't matter. This one's on blue. This one can go on also blue. Chalice on 2 or Chalice on 1. I think 2 is better. Gets their Drowning Locks, gets their Snapcasters, it gets their Croxas. Gets a lot of the big business spells. Okay, they've got a counter. Cool. Didn't matter. Okay, we're in trouble. And worth pointing out that the biggest reason we're in trouble right now is my mistake earlier in the game where I basically gave away the Ashiok for free against the Lightning Bolt deck. So even though I was specifically aware of the fact that Lightning Bolt would be the biggest reason to be playing that archetype, I just walked into it. But it happens. All make mistakes, you gotta roll with them. They activate Hase, the smallest of Jaces. So we can go down to 3 here. Not exactly sure what we can draw out of this. Drawing Karn into Bridge would be okay. Ashiok is not going to do it. Suppose we're not technically dead. So we can cast Ashiok and nuke their graveyard. And you get to gain 1 life too, even if they counter it. So that's kind of nice. Okay, so we're going to nuke their graveyard. Cool. So this means they can't flashback anything. If they draw an Into the Story, though, they do get to draw a million cards, but at least they don't have access to that Lightning Bolt anymore. Karn is my favorite Titan. Zing. I thought Wormcoil was your favorite Titan, Roy. I thought Wormcoil. Ah, there's the Into the Story. Would have been nice to have a Narset there, but all right. So if they draw one of their bolts, they could put us to 1. Okay, think we're alive for 1 more turn at least. So let's draw the Hot Fire. Come on, little deck. Come on, little deck. This is not Hot Fire. That is the coldest of fire. All right, so I milled them to see slightly more of their deck. I probably should have held on to that land because they might have Thoughtseized or Inquisitioned to see what the card in my hand was. Very little chance we don't just die here. They could have a Croxa. They could have all sorts of things. Yeah, Karn into Wormcoil Engine. I totally understand. Okay, we're going to 1. I've got 5 cards in hand. There's basically 0% chance that they don't have counter magic, but we're going to take a draw step. Why not? If they'll give it to us. We're praying for Karn into Bridge. I believe so. I think that's the only way out. No, man, we'll just draw the Jace and just bounce their Brazen Borrower, and then they won't be able to kill us. Actually, Wrenn and Six would just kill the Brazen Borrower. That's kind of funny. I mean, that will keep us alive. They got another Darkslish Shores, sure. I mean, they're almost decking. That's something. That's not going to do it. All right, we died. Technically, I could have milled them there again to see more cards of their deck. Definitely should have, but I think we're good. And I don't think we're boarding in anything here. I think we're good to go. So let's rock and roll forward. That's not one of our outs. Yes, a forest was not one of our outs. This deck is very synonymous with... or not synonymous. This is stylistically very similar to the... very similar in style to the mono green Karn deck from Pioneer, in that a lot of the time you'll get into situations where your deck with 21 lands and 14 acceleration spells is 14 acceleration spells is on like low resources, and you just have to top deck one of your threats and not top deck more mana acceleration, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you lose. Unfortunately, one of the downsides here is that your opponent will take time sideboarding, but what you can do in both Paper and Magic Online, you take some of the cards here, you move them up in there, and then you move them back down, and then you really carefully shuffle them into your deck, and then you go through your deck and you very carefully pull them out. The faux sideboarding. All right, this hand is god-awful. The two Interplanar Beacons do let us cast Wrenn and Six here, but that's not going to do it. So we're going to mull that. This is a one-lander against a deck that is a pile of kill spells. So this is really, really sketchy. But very tempted to keep this. I think this is better than most of the fives. I think we can get away with this one. Put your right hand in, pull your right hand out, put your left hand in. Oh, it's time for our game. All right, and I think we're bottoming the Birds of Paradise. So we get to go Arbor Elf into Sprawl. If we draw a second land, we have 4 mana on turn 2. So we just need to draw a second land here, and then we're off to the races. If we lose the Arbor Elf, it's not going to be the end of the world. If we get our second land at any reasonable kind of pace, we're going to be in good shape. And every single land in this deck is a green source, except for Interplanar Beacon. So any land draw is going to be really good. No kill spell here is exceptional. No land is not the best. So we get to put this on black or blue or white. We cannot get ourselves to a place where we can play both Vraska and Teferi right now. Teferi is busted in this matchup, so I think we're going to aim for the Teferi. So we're going blue on this one, untap that, go white on this one. Interesting to note here, we actually have 6 mana next turn, so if we're unmolested to that point, we can actually go Karn into Chalice on one, which is nuts. And if they have a Drown in the Lock in their hand, it's not only that they can't counter our Karn, but they won't even be able to kill our Arbor Elf because we haven't put any cards in the graveyard. Karn Liquid Metal Coating. Yeah, I guess that's okay. It leaves Karn open to getting bolted. So, I mean, this turn has a lot of variables in the air, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm just saying, we have the ability to Karn into Chalice on one. Chalice on one cuts off a lot of their deck. Okay, so they shocked for 2 mana. Let it be Jace Friend's Prodigy, please. Maybe they have a slow hand. Aether Gust. That's fine. I'm going to bottom that because I'm playing Teferi this turn, which is going to crush them. So, yeah. Hopefully. Hopefully crush them. Maybe they got Dreadbore in their deck, who knows. I think I'm going to plus Teferi this turn, just in case they have Lightning Bolt. Although I guess making them Sorcery Speed Lightning Bolt my Teferi is pretty okay, but... This means I get to have him survive until next turn, no matter what. Although I'll miss the card draw. Do they play Force of Negation? I assume that they do. Want to draw a card and hit or land drop? I guess that was a consideration. Yeah, probably should have gone for that. The more I was thinking about it, Jesus. The more I was thinking about it, the more I think that was probably the correct line. Got the land draw on the next turn. We can Karn into Tormod's Crypt here, which is not useless. They could be playing Spell Pierce, so I don't think I want to fire off Teferi into them. Or I can just fire off the Teferi in again. It's pretty good, and we'll just actually get the land drop this time. Or go for the land drop this time. Never punished. Yeah, I guess so. I think Teferi is more devastating. If they're on 1 mana, it's not super likely they have counter magic for that. Although Mystical Dispute's pretty popular right now. Yeah, nailed it. So I could have gotten the Karn through there. So that was worth thinking about quicker than I did. Never punished, immediately punished. For a different reason. Yeah, so totally a called shot. I did it the second after, which is the wrong way to do that. The called shot that I enjoy is when you very casually, like monotonously, you're just like, I'm going to fire this in here. They're going to have a Mystical Dispute and counter it. And then they do it. And you're like, yep. As expected. Good golly. All right. This does mean we could play Narset this turn, although this Creeping Tar Pit will attack it down. So that's less than great. If I play Sprawl on black, I can play Vraska, or blue, I can play Narset. So the question is, which of those do I want to play? If I play Vraska, I'm pretty sure I'm plussing to sacrifice the Utopia Sprawl. Like my delivery all the time, yeah. Which is part of the reason I was like kind of confused with your thing on the Faithless Brewing Discord, where you were like, blah, 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 blah. I can't believe that you're being unconstructive. And I was like, dude, I was just making the same kind of mediocre jokes that we always make together. Okay, so this goes on black. They almost definitely have counter magic for this. If we have one more land, next turn we can go Karn Liquid Metal Coating and turn off the Creeping Tar Pit, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you sack. I agree that I don't know if we sack, especially considering the fact that we're close to 6 mana, which gives us access to Karn into Liquid Metal Coating. Not going to matter anyway, because they've got an Aether Gust. I think I'm topping that. It's a reasonable spell to have here. I mean, they're playing Grixis Control. It's a pile of interaction. Like, okay, they've got Brazen Borrower and Exile. So if they play Brazen Borrower and then boot up Tar Pit, they can kill Vraska here, which heavily incentivizes me to sack the Sprawl to try to get something else going. Snapcaster into Mystical Dispute. Yeah. I think we misplayed this in a couple of places and could have been in a better spot. So, pretty happy to lose here. I think we're going to bottom it this time. But we're in the feel bad place. We're definitely in the feel bad place. Interesting to note that if they had nothing else in their hand than the Snapcaster, then I don't think they could have dealt with Karn. Because it's not blue or red or green. That's a touch unfortunate. But not too unfortunate. Well, I guess Karn into Bridge here is pretty good. They won't be able to attack it down, but that's only if we could get... Yeah, okay. All right, I'm scooping out of this one. We had rough mana on that one. Screwed up both games to pretty small plays. I don't know if we actually screwed up that game, but the Brazen Borrower on the Teferi was definitely not something I was thinking of as something we were going to be facing down. Croxa should be playing that. Hey, Croxa's awesome. There was a All Titans on deck from earlier in this format. That was playing, it was like 4 Croxa, 3 Uro, Liliana the Veil, Lazav, the Multifarious. So this gets creature, lands, or planeswalkers. So this can't get Utopia Sprawl, but this does mean we have turn 3 planeswalker into turn 4 planeswalker, which is not impressive, but I feel like this is a keep in the dark. We could also snag a Wrenn and Six with this. I think I'm going to keep this. It's not a great hand, but it's pretty okay. Yeah, it was an irritating keep. I agree with that. Oh, well, Simian Spirit Guide means we get a turn 2 Planeswalker, so never mind. Don't worry about it, Roy. I forgot about Spirit Guide. And against a burn deck, Dovin Hand of Control is nuts. Also, Teferi's really good here. I think I'm just firing off this Teferi. So it really amazingly looks like I shouldn't be able to cast any of the spells I'm about to cast. But phenomenally, because of Oath of Nissa, I can... Actually, so Dovin is way more likely to survive if they have a Monastery Swift Spear or any amount of burn in their hand. Yeah, Dovin's better. I agree with you. So cast this, exile, tap, tap. And Oath of Nissa says that we can spend mana of any color... or spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast Planeswalker spells. I did activate Dovin to prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by their Soulscar Mage, because Lightning Bolt plus Soulscar Mage attacking would be enough to kill Dovin. No, they're definitely on mono red prowess if they start off with Soulscar Mage. There is target acquired for Teferi bouncing, and then we just shut down their Steamkin. So, sorry, Teferi bounce their Steamkin, we Dovin the Soulscar Mage. And then that puts them in a squeeze on how to spend their mana to attack our board. Alternatively, we could get Narset here, but I think I want the card draw from Teferi to try to hit a 4th land for these guys. Karn's really going to put a squeeze on them, too. Get dunked on, Confucius. Thanks, Roy. I always know I can look to you for the good Confucius quotes. Steamkin returns. Do they have a Lava Dart would be excellent here for them? Lava Dart or Lightning Bolt, both would be quite good. Oh, they can't play them because of Dovin. That's so funny, they walked into it. They haven't played a spell yet that Dovin affects. We need a quote bot. The bot we have has that functionality. I think you can record them too. Yeah, there you go. Roy, you can add quotes. I understand that I'm giving you a terrible power, but that's where we're at. So you add quote, space, and then type the quote, I believe. Okay, so we got a redundant copy of Dovin Hand of Control here, which is less than great in the face of their board. Narset is an okay play here. Arbor Elf gets me to my next Planeswalker up, but it's very unlikely to survive. Really looks like our House of Cards is going to fall down this turn. There you go. There's our quote number 1. Tick down on Mage, yeah, but the Steamkin is still going to have 2 power. And so if any burn spell plus... I think we just jam Narset here, and then if they try to draw more cards, they get messed up. This also means we just get to add to the board more significantly. Redundant Karn, not great, but it's fine. Hopefully they attack our Dovin, because we have a replacement Dovin. Another Steamkin. Okay, so that means they can only play 1 spell this turn. So we could lose 2 Planeswalkers here. They went to combat? Oh, right, but they can always just kill the Teferi after combat. Teferi currently limiting them to sorcery speed. Did I miss my Teferi tick up there? I might have. No, I don't think so. Yeah, there's the Burst Lightning. Right, they wanted to get the discount because the Dovin's no longer in play. Replacement Dovin's not going to do too much here. You wanted me to play the second Dovin? Ah, that's... yeah, okay. I see what it is. I see how you were thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about that line at all, to play the second Dovin. Oh, jeez. And then they had the 3 mana on the Steamkin, so they get to wipe me here. We're at 17, though, against the mono-red deck with them having... Jeez. Good draw. And they've got the Lava Dart in their bin right now. They drew another Lava Dart. Jeez. Well, at least they're out of card draws. Wow, that's a bad draw. Let's play this, tick up on the Steamkin, pass the turn. So they're going to have to attack it with probably the Steamkin and the Soulscar Mage. Mono Dovin draw. Yeah, I mean, we are only a 21 land deck, so we're not all that likely to draw lands out of these situations. I mean, that's a pretty okay pickup. The problem is getting my hand empty is going to be really hard. Because I can put the Karn in here and go get a Ensnaring Bridge, but Ensnaring Bridge does not make me live here. Not anytime soon. I think that's where we're at, though. I guess I could Jace Brainstorm to get a land drop and then play the Arbor Elf. Yeah, that's probably slightly better. Teferi's an okay draw here. So we'll put extra Karn on top, Breeding Pool on top of that, play the Forest, play the Elf. There's infinite Lava Darts to kill this, but... Dovin plus Arbor Elf is greater than Jace. I don't know about that. I think they're likely to dedicate a reasonable amount of resources to killing a Jace. Well, that's a tad unfortunate. Is it? Nah, that's fine. They didn't remove the counters from their other Steamkin before they played the Crash Through, so that leads me to believe that their hand is not infinitely powerful, although I don't think it really matters. Oh, wow. Soulscar Mage, sure. Okay, but they still have the 2 Lava Darts in their graveyard, so they can cast 2 more spells, hit me for 12, 13, 14. I believe. They did go down to 0 lands, so like... We have a Breeding Pool on top. Light up the stage. Alright, so they're just going to be able to combo off here. The Soulscar Mage is the only creature they have that can't cap. The Steamkins are going to keep capping, but if they keep drawing damage spells... I think in the face of this turn, yeah, Dovin plus Arbor Elf was almost definitely better. Dovin plus Arbor Elf into Jace. No, I mean, I get that, but the Arbor Elf was going to die. They had double Lava Dart and 4 mana. So, like, they were definitely going to just Lava Dart that and attack. No, I understand that. I understand that. It's just that this sequence would have happened the turn after, right? Like, my Arbor Elf and my Dovin would have died. Then the next turn I play the Jace if I have a land drop. Because that was going to use the... we had to use the Simian Spirit Guide to do Dovin plus Arbor Elf, so I don't think it really mattered. I think they had everything they needed to win this, so they have an 8/9 Soulscar Mage, and they are just going off. They haven't even attacked yet, and they've got me down to 6. No, I understand that. Yeah, no, I get what you were saying. I don't know. The line I took established me with better resources more immediately. Yours was more conservative, mine was more aggressive, and we immediately got engine out of that. Oh, hold on. This is not a match where I want to click submit. Hold on. I know what I want to do here, so let me do that. Oh, of course, this is the moment where it's slow and my opponent's sideboard's fast. All right, so screwed up there by missing my sideboarding. We have turn 1 Oath of Nissa into turn 2 Karn or Narset, which is pretty great. No, I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it at all. We don't have the bridges. We have Ashioks instead. But we have a Karn on potentially turn 2 if we wanted to. Or we could go Narset on 2, Karn on 3. I think Karn on turn 2, just get the bridge is good because they didn't see a Karn. They didn't see any artifacts at all in the previous game. So I think getting Karn into bridge ASAP is pretty good. Yeah. Unless I revealed a Karn. Did I reveal a Karn? I might have revealed a Karn. So Interplanar Beacon or Teferi. Teferi seems pretty good as a turn 2 play here. If I want to curve out more slowly, I think it's potentially good. Soulscar. Okay. We want Beacon. Gains us life. Yeah, I suppose. I think I'm going to go turn 2 Teferi here to eat a bunch of their resources into... Excuse me? Hello? Ook. Is my stream still going? If my stream's still going, that means Magic Online is dropping right now. Stream's still on. Okay, Magic Online's the one that's dropping. Cool. Give me 2 seconds to try to see if I can just shut down Moto and then bring it back up. The plus side, we are trucking through this league. Already on match 3? Playing some good Magic the Gathering here. High density enjoyment. Alright, Magic opened fine. Okay. Okay, we are mid fetch. Got it. I would like that forest, please. Moto's just taking its sweet time loading back up again. As it do. Got the beautiful sound of boosters opening. Alright. Are we good? We're good. Teferi. Bounce your Soul Scar, draw a card. Hey! That ain't not bad. Yeah, we're going to Teferi bounce. Do you need me to remind you to kick the client after this match? No, because I just did. So usually it's in between leagues. Usually 5 matches is about the point where the mana leak, or not the mana leak, the memory leak starts becoming significant enough that it chokes the client. So we're on match 3. This league's pretty quick. Possibly mid next league. The mana symbol becomes significant enough in between matches. Wait, hold on. I just think we shouldn't be judging Moto because it likes to be choked. Put it on the quote reel, Roy. No, I'm kidding. Ooh. Are they roying me? Yep, they're roying me. Optimal sequencing. Damn you, optimal sequencing. Yeah. Bye, Teferi. Bye. I can't remember exactly what you said. It was that we shouldn't blame Moto for liking to choke or liking to be choked. All right. So if we Karn for bridge right now, I could also cast this Arbor Elf. Then next turn I could cast Narset, and I would be empty-handed. But then I wouldn't have. I would have played out the. I wouldn't have played out the bridge. So we go land Karn, get the bridge. Then I have Spirit Guide, Narset, Arbor Elf, and the bridge. I could play the Elf out this turn as well, although it doesn't particularly help me. I think I want to get Karn into play ASAP to get the bridge into my hand, and then from that point we can just build it out. Elf is a blocker. Yeah, I don't think Elf is a blocker in any way. I don't think the Elf counts as a blocker. There's just too many things. There's Lavid Arts, there's Lightning Bolts, there's Burst Lightning, Crash Through. The Monastery Swiftspear, second attacker, also does it. So it's like, it's really, really not a blocker. The Arbor Elves are a serious liability in this matchup. The only way that they're kind of okay is if we... What are words? Baby, don't hurt me. The only way it's kind of okay is if we are on the play, we turn one Arbor Elf, and they turn one Soulscar Mage. Or Swiftspear. So we're going to 4 here, and they have 2 cards in their hands, or probably... Oh, they didn't just attack us. All right. So I could play Arbor Elf, Ensnaring Bridge, and pitch the Spirit Guide, which means, depending on their hand, if they have a bunch of sorceries, they can't... they won't be able to attack. I think the better line is Dovin this time. So we play Arbor Elf, Spirit Guide the Dovin into play, and turn off one of their attackers. Because this makes it way harder for them to kill stuff. We'll hit the Soulscar Mage since it's the slightly better creature. It doesn't really matter here, but... Donovan Bane. That's right. Donovan Baneley. Wow, he's one of the slowest planeswalkers of all time. Yeah, we're blocking. Dovin is just such a hassle for them. I want him to stay alive as much as possible. They pass the turn. What the hell does that mean? This is a less than great draw. Okay, so... yeah, we're just jamming Bridge here. Somewhat limits what they can pump with and when. It's pretty unlikely that they can... Okay, so they can attack for 2 here. And then if they have a 1-mana instant, I just die. So, yeah. Luckily, our failure to sideboard didn't punish us in that game, but yeah, definitely a little bit of a rough match. This deck has the ability to win that matchup, but we certainly didn't see it there. I don't think they brought in a Braid. They didn't see any artifacts in the first game, and 2 mana to kill our creatures is not a good idea. And to have a burn spell that doesn't target planeswalkers. Alright, this is pretty good. We've turned to Dovin or Ashiok, and we can Oath if our elf dies. So this is pretty ideal. So, I like that sometimes it's me or sometimes it's you, Roy, that are like really good at remembering what our opponent has and hasn't seen. All right, if we're against the same... Ooh, what is this? Mono red the rack? What? What? What in the what? Okay. I think I'm playing Dovin here. Oh, can't do it like that. At some point in the future, I could tick up Dovin on the rack and then have it completely fail to prevent any relevant damage. Oh, the Ashiok would have got him. Although the Dovin could be getting them right now, so actually that's not necessarily a... Ooh, that's an excellent pickup. Although I don't currently have the colors for it. So if I want to play Vraska next turn, I have to play Oath Ashiok this turn. Alternatively, I could just play Temple Garden into Karn, but Karn doesn't get me anything great in this matchup, so I think we're going Oath into Ashiok. And if we're going Oath into Ashiok, we're going to play the Oath before I make my land drop, just in case I pick up an untapped land. 8 rack with Kroxa. Oh, yeah. And I ran into, what is that card called? You know the one. It does the ridiculous thing. Karn gets you Wormcoil once you had enough lands. Yeah, that's true. Waste Not. It could be red-black, Waste Not. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're just playing Ashiok this turn. And I can play it without taking the shock from Temple Garden, but I don't want to go down cards in hand, so I'm going to take the shock rather than using my Spirit Guide. And as Roy was pointing out, the Spirit Guide could get us to a big payoff off of Karn. They let it resolve. Well, that is sick. And then we're going to mill them to see more of their deck, just in case they concede soon, because they might. Lightning Skelemental, sure. I think my opponent, like me on Sunday, just missed the Ashiok resolving. Red could be for Burning Inquiry. Yeah, exactly. I've played against that deck. I know a lot of nonsense cards. You do. You do know a lot of nonsense cards. Oh, friend. Oh, friend. They completely missed the Ashiok static text against them. Creature-based rock strategy. I mean, I don't know about creature-based. They might have just thrown some... Oh, sorry, rack strategy. I think they might have just thrown some copies of the rack into the Lightning Skelemental deck. So... Have you considered Dingus Egg for your wish board? Seems like that would be great against Titan. Let's do it. So my opponent can only play instants and sorceries that cost 1 right now. Alternatively, they could play a Kroxa. Okay, they've got nothing. Cool. Cool. Sweet. Alright, not gonna take any damage from this rack. Although it is a nice rack. Look at that, baby. Oh, yeah. I like that one. Alright, so... we're just playing Vraska here and killing the rack. And due to the danger... the potential of Lightning Bolt, I'm not taking down my Ashiok any further. I suppose I could tick up Vraska here and sack my Arbor Elf and then tick down on the rack next turn, because this puts enough cards in my hand, but I think it's just worth it to get the rack off the table. Alright, don't clunk up the quotes, though. I mean, come on, that's... We can't have all the quotes from the first day we discovered that the quotes can be added. Actually, we can. There are no rules here. Does opponent have the Lightning Skelemental? And if so, do they choose to attack me? Because this doesn't have the text about Planeswalkers, so if you Lightning Skelemental and attack one of my Planeswalkers, I don't have to discard any cards. I looked away for 1 second. All of a sudden, non-stop Planeswalkers. Just a million Planeswalkers. I think my opponent might be literally like tearing their hair out over there over the fact that they keep trying to cast spells and they can't because of Dovin. 100 quotes by the end of the week. So you're telling me we have a quote quota? Start sacrificing Planeswalkers to draw cards. Yeah, we certainly can do that. I'm going to grab one of the tap lands just in case I draw it at some point and I wanted to use it. So we're going to take 1 from the rack here. Okay, so if I Shock Breeding Pool, cast the Karn... I don't think we're doing that. I think we're going to cast Karn. I think... so cast Karn, I could have... Oh, I can just go Chalice on 1 here? That sounds gross. Yeah, let's do that. So it means we're opening ourselves up to a little bit of damage from the rack, but it's not going to be much. So Chalice on 1 here is going to be completely gross because they're already kind of choked on mana. I think I'm going to sack the Oath of Nissa here. Do I have all my colors? As long as my Arbor Elf survives, I do, but sack the elf. It's fine. Cool. That's like card draw, and don't need to activate anything else. Yeah, we're good. Can put the game away by wishing for Wormcoil. I don't know if that's necessarily true. They could have a Terminate. I mean, I guess they just get it back at that point, but like... Inquisition. Trigger. Alright, so we take 1 here. Okay, so there's the 6th land for Wormcoil if we want to go for that. Think tapped Breeding Pool. I think we can wish for Wormcoil. You're right. Let's do that. I mean, there's a chance. No, because they can't Thoughtseize me, and Kroxa won't get it. So we're okay on that one. And then if I want to sack something to Vraska, it's the Oath of Nissa. I officially do not need colors anymore. In theory, I could need black for the Vraska I already have in play, but since there's only 1 of it, it's fine. We drew Teferi. That's nuts. Forgot we could draw cards that we could play because I'm the baddie. Gonna bounce their copy of the rack, which will cost them 2, and then it'll get countered, and that's the game. Shisha. I think this is a Bridges in matchup. It is not a Ashiok out matchup. I think this is Bridges in and Birds of Paradise out. They are playing a pile of removal spells, and I think that's how we want to do it. This is not approved by Aspiringspike. I do not go to Aspiringspike and complain about this deck if your mileage varies on this sideboarding plan. Well, it's just one of those things that the deck is like very cleverly constructed. So you can see there's 3 copies of Ensnaring Bridge on the sideboard, and you can wish for 1. You could actually wish for 2 in a game if you needed to. And then you like if you were worried about shatter effects or something like that. But I think the reason there's 3 bridges is so you can board in 2, either for Ashiok or 2 of something else. And I'm pretty sure that Birds is the worst ramp spell. Utopia Sprawl is immune to most removal spells, and Arbor Elf plus Utopia Sprawl is busted in half in terms of how much mana you get. So, and this is an excellent opening hand, so we're going to keep this. So it is very possible for their deck to come out of the gates with like discard, bolt. So they're going to take one of our ramp spells here, I would assume. They could take a payoff, but since we could have turn 2 Jace, I wouldn't mind too much. Yeah, they took the Arbor Elf. That's the best pick of the litter. I think we're just going Forest into Oath. Birds of Paradise has fallen from grace over the past year. Yes and no. There was a little while where the Faithless Brewing guys, or at least one of the Faithless Brewing guys, and some other people were saying Gilded Goose is the new Birds of Paradise. And it's sort of gone back and forth. I'm definitely taking the Dovin here. This is really good in this matchup. And there are some decks which Goose is better, but there are definitely some decks where Bob is better. I personally do not care for either of them that much. I think I like Goose slightly more because it leaves you a permanent if it dies. Okay, so since they're on 1 land, we're definitely playing Dovin here. Got the Oath of Nissa in play, and they're black-red, so I don't think they're ever going to kill it. So we're just going to keep fetching green sources here and assume that's going to be okay. Hi, how's it going over there? You going to play any spells? I don't think they're playing any spells, Roy. Goose also helps with Metalcraft for Mox Opal. Correct. Hey, it still does in Legacy. It still does that in Legacy. Oh, my opponent doesn't remember the text on Dovin. Unless they're going to play Thoughtseize and then pitch a Simian Spirit Guide for the tax. So now this turn we play Teferi and bounce their copy of the rack, so they won't even be able to replay it unless they draw another land. And we've sealed up this match, it looks like. So we've had a lot of like really swingy matches with this deck, which has been a little weird. I don't normally play decks that it's like 2-0, 0-2, 0-2, 2-0. Usually I play more of the 51, 49s. We could also bounce my Oath of Nissa here for gratuitous value, but since Dovin's in play and they don't have another land, pretty sure we're bouncing their playable spell. If they don't draw a land this turn, they're discarding to hand size at end of turn, which is hilarious. They are. Okay, and then we're just going to play Karn on the next turn, and... do I get the Chalice? I think I'm getting Chalice. If I'm going to pick any color for this, it's going to be black for Vraska, just in case. This means they won't be able to activate their rack either, so their rack is a little dull at this point. And you hate to see a dull rack. If we top deck a land, we'll be able to Worm Coil the next turn, so that's pretty gross. Oh, I could also get Liquid Metal Coating and take their last land down, too. Yeah, actually, that's the thing to do. Is we Chalice hurts us too. I'm aware Chalice hurts us too, but if you look at the game state we're in, we don't care about the way that Chalice hurts us. Yeah, and there we go. We had the land coming, so we could have gone Worm Coil there. Pretty sure we were gonna go Strip Mine though. Strip Mine your last land, Chalice on 1, Dovin tax, get him. So we're in the last match now, so just smoking along here. That's kind of nice. And want another die roll. Definitely is a deck that wants to win die rolls. Okay, so this has turn 2 Teferi off Oath of Nissa, and then we could go... yeah, we're keeping this one. It's not a perfect hand, but we're going to keep it. So... since we're playing Oath of Nissa... we can go take one here, and then if we stall on turn 3, we can just play the tap land. So, do I want Narset or do I want the land? I think I want the Narset because this guarantees I have a turn 3 play. Yeah. There's also some matchups where I would want the turn 2 Narset over the turn 2 Teferi. Not many, but it's possible. Oh. Yeah. So, this one. Thanks, deck. Jeez, the deck's like, you've only got 3 mana? Don't worry, bro. You're just going to draw a bunch of 3 mana planeswalkers, and you'll be just fine. Hello. If Wild Growth were modern legal. Oh, I wish. Skadoosh. Dunk on him. So remember, that's the last time we're going to activate this. We're against Living End, and we just had our Ashiok in our hand. Feels good, man. And then we have Teferi next turn? Oh my god. Game over. User wins. I just want everyone to know that my sick reboot reference was on point there. A Lamau. Yeah, agreed. A Lamau indeed. If they Simian Spirit Guide into... what is the card that casts Living End? What's the one they usually use? Suppose I should have milled them first. This is basically GG. I'm going to plus Teferi. Mill them with Ashiok. That wipes out their graveyard. Feels kind of bad. Oh, Demonic Dread? No, that's a sorcery. What's the instant one? +1/+0 and Cascades. You can't play anything, friend. Oh, you can cycle. You can cycle. Do you want to cycle? You can cycle. Yeah, just cycle. It's all good. I just don't know if they have a way to resolve Living End. Violent Outburst, that's correct. So now they can't Cascade because of Teferi. Yeah, and they scoop. No kidding. Turn 3 kill. Brutal. All right, and this is yet a third type of matchup to sideboard for because we didn't ramp with any creatures. So there's a chance that they board out some of their creature removal. I think in this one we're boarding out Wrenn and Sixes for Ensnaring Bridges, just 2 of them. And we're going to leave everything else as is. Pretty sure that's where I want to be. In theory, I could board out the third Wrenn and Six for something like Grafdigger's Cage. Oh, Grafdigger's Cage does not work against Living End. That is important to note. Grafdigger's Cage does not work against Living End. I could board in the Chalice, so I could Chalice on 0. It doesn't hurt me at all, and if I get to Karn Wish, I'm probably just going to play Tormod's Crypt. Yeah, I got it. I got it. They might play Ingot Chewers. They didn't see any artifacts out of my deck that game. No, Grafdigger's Cage is one of those cards that I'm like surprisingly familiar with the text on, because it's very strange what it does and doesn't affect, and the fact that it doesn't affect Living End is really weird. I think I'm going to go with this setup. This is turn 2 Karn. Seems good, man. Seems good. Turn 2 Karn, get the Chalice. Chalice for 0. Then we'll see where we're at there. Dovin's also kind of okay against them. Okay, so I'm going to Misty for a basic forest just in case. Put a little bit of sprawl out there. Just sprawl out. Sprawl out all over this battlefield. I caught myself few. Yeah, no, Cage is one of those ones. Again, Cage is weird, and the Living End deck is also weird. I really hope they don't have turn 2 Living End. I think they probably play Simian Spirit Guides in the build that they're playing. I would assume. Because it looks like they were playing 8 spells that allow them to Living End. They passed the turn. All right, I think we're going Karn into Chalice here. I think that is by far the best play. Yeah. Yeah, man. Fucking metal. You know. Just doing it. It's a rock concert, not a bloody splish splash. Enjoy. Skadoosh. Just dunk on him, K-Daddy. That's definitely from that heavy metal documentary. I wonder if they kept in Something like Ingot Chewer. Or I wonder if they're about to fire off their Cascade spell and find out that it doesn't work. Also, if we need insurance, we can Karn for Bridge next turn. I don't think I want to do that yet. I think if I want to Karn for anything else, it'll be Tormod's Crypt. Pillage! Yeah, that's pretty good, huh? Alright. Whoa, Doctor, looks like we've got ourselves a ball game. And heading into turn number 3, Mana Symbol Ryle. Hanging out 22 life points. Ooh, shocking down a 20 to play the Oath of Nissa in Gallimay. And hilariously, if I get a Tormod's Crypt, I now can't cast it. So that's kind of funny. They didn't pillage Chalice. Yeah, that's worth pointing out. I'm going to get a second beacon here. So if I wish for anything right now, it's going to be... I think Bridge is probably the best insurance plan. I think it's got to be Bridge. I don't think there's any merit to plussing Karn. Yeah, because if they kill the Chalice next turn, they won't be able to play a spell that gets their living end. So, and then maybe we'll have time to get to the Tormod's Crypt. Whoa, Doctor. Pillage out of that deck is... That's something. That wasn't even on my radar. I wonder if they do... I wonder if they Ingot Chewer into their living end Cascade. Fulminator. Okay, so they're going LD on me. Just destructing my lands. That's a plan. I mean... As far as plans go, that certainly is. Plus on nothing, pass the turn. I don't think that I need my Karn around, so I think if I have the chance to wish with him again, I'm just going to do it. Another Fulminator, goodness gracious me. Whoa, Doctor. And Arbor Elf only untaps Forest, so currently it doesn't produce mana. And I can't play the birds with an Interplanar Beacon. So, getting aggro with my Arbor Elf here. I wonder if -1 Ensnaring Bridge +1 Darksteel Citadel is... Yeah. I wonder about that too. I think given the game state, I'm going to plus the Karn again. Because then I can get Liquid Metal Coating and start destroying their lands? Yeah. They could start hard casting their bigger creatures, which is interesting. Although they didn't, so maybe we get to start land destructing them. Okay, so let's go get the coating. Set an upkeep stop. I don't think there's anything else worth getting here. No. Because Ingot Chewer is a leaves play trigger, right? Isn't Ingot Chewer leaves play? Or is it enters? Because I know it has Evoke. Oh no, it's enters. Okay. I still don't think that's worth it. I think I'd rather have the Liquid Metal Coating. I guess if they kill my Karn like now, this is useless, but Be a weird situation if they just killed my Karn now. I'm going to keep the Arbor Elf as a blocker because I'm not really worried about trying to kill them. I'm shutting off the Blackleaf Cliffs because them tapping Grove is way better for me. Wait. No. Well, whatever. Sorry, if they want red mana, they have to tap Groove. You threw off my Groove of the Burn Willows. Okay, so now we get to start strip mining them with my Karn pluses, which is pretty great. I think I want to kill their black mana. Yeah, I definitely do. Hey, look, it's an artifact. Oh, look, it's dead. And I think we just start attacking. So we're on a 15-turn clock. We got the sick. This is the sick prison modern gameplay that we all came here for. I'm pretty sure. Just so little magic is happening in this game. My opponent's not playing Magic. I'm barely playing Magic. Now they can't suspend Living End. Yeah, but even if they did, it would get countered when it resolved. Okay, cycle, sure. Love to draw an Ashiok at some point. I'd love to draw a Forest. That's what I really need. Forest would be banging. Goodness gracious. And then once we destroy all their lands, we boot up Liquid Metal Coating and we attack with that, right? Sapping away at all hope. Yeah. They've reached the living end, would you say, Roy? Would you say they've reached the living end? They conceded. All right. So that was a wild league. Super fun. Super quick. Planeswalker Prison Pals is a blast to play. Thank you, Aspiringspike, for the wonderful deck. Well put together. Turn 2 Ashioks are completely nuts in the modern format right now against some decks. The only thing I would say is, like, Wrenn and Six is very odd in this deck. I suppose it's in there for good reasons, but I feel like there could be better cards in those slots. I think overall it's well put together. Having the 14 accelerators meant we were almost never shy of doing something busted. I could have untapped their Forest. Good point. We were never really shy of doing anything busted. Wrenn and Six and Jace, I think, are the cards in here that feel the most oddly positioned. Like, they don't have statics that affect your opponent in a significant way. I wonder if one more Ashiok would be better than one of the Wrenn and Sixes. But that's definitely going to come down to very minute bits of the meta and how you feel this deck is positioned against them. Dovin, Hand of Control, was a standout. That card, it was really good in a bunch of places. So we did play also against a slew of random jank. We played against a black-red discard deck that never got doing anything. We played against Living End that didn't do anything. Obviously, we set up a nice prison against the Living End deck, but yeah. And then Kiki Cord was our other win, and then our losses were to Grixis Control, which seemed legit because we didn't come out of the gates fast enough against that deck. That was our more clunky draws, and they had a good mixture of interaction. And then the other one where we got run over was some kind of discard deck, some kind of something. Return details. It was... I just remember it was quick. Anywho, good league, good deck, and we're going to be hopping over to Uro taking turns in a moment here. Uro Nexus of Fate. So stick around if you are on the Twitch channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out that other Uro video as well as tons of my other videos on YouTube. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you real soon.